Hi, my name is Ezban and I'm the director of The Incident. Well, The Incident is a science fiction psychological thriller about characters trapped in illogical, endless spaces. So you have two stories that collide. In one end you have two brothers and a detective that suddenly are coming down the staircase, and they suddenly discover that they are trapped on an infinite staircase, like below the first floor, the ninth floor starts again and it's just like a loop and they don't know how come. And then on another story you have a family traveling on an empty road that they are going to the beach, and they suddenly discover it's an infinite road and they are passing next to the same gas station every 2 hours and they don't know what's going on. And then, well, the two stories start moving forward, and I will tell you more, but that's what it is. When you say science fiction, a lot of people can think of like big special effects and the end of the world, and I mean I love those films, but I'm more into the science fiction where it's more contained, more psychological, where maybe the world is coming to an end, but you see it all through the point of view of a family locked on a basement, right? So that's what the Twilight Zone used to do. So that's what I try to do in The Incident, and also in the Twilight Zone, the science fiction element, the fantastic element, was always used for a metaphor to talk about something very real, very human. Although it might look like a contradiction, taking a fantastic element to talk about something real, I like that metaphor. So in the case of The Incident, I think it's a metaphor about time, about how time goes by in our lives and how we change physically and emotionally, internally with time. When I've talked to people from the audience in many countries, I've seen that they tell me that they see very Mexican elements in the film, like the film talks a lot about sacrifice, and they relate it to the Aztec sacrifices that used to happen, and I was like, oh, that's interesting. So people tell me stuff that is that although I wasn't trying to do a film very much about Mexico, maybe subconsciously because I come from Mexico, there are many Mexican elements in the film, right? It's a very atypical film, a non-typical film from Mexico, because it's a science fiction film and Mexico is not very used to producing genre films, and when they do genre films it's mostly horror, thriller, but there are not many sci-fi films, so I think that's actually what's special about the film coming from Mexico, that it's like a very original genre to be making in Mexico. And of my influences, well, I cannot forget to mention Luis Buñuel's El Ángel Exterminador. I think a director should talk about a subject that is personal for him, important for him. And for me, I guess the subject of the movie is time, just passing time and the way time goes by in our lives and what we do with our time. I guess that's the theme of the movie for me. Although there are many themes, it talks about obsession, it talks about loneliness, it talks about forgiveness, it talks about redemption, but for me the main subject is time. And I've always been really almost obsessed with that subject, like looking at a photograph from me from 10 years ago and see how I've changed, or from my parents or friends or whatever. I'm really interested on that, on passing time. It's a subject I have included in many of my other screenplays. So I said I wanted to do a story about passing time, so that was first. Then every Friday I go to have dinner at my grandma's house, which is she lives on the 9th floor of the building. And my father always says, let's take the stairs to make some exercise. And I'm a film guy, I'm not a sports guy, so whenever we take the stairs, when I'm already in floor number 4, I'm like, I cannot keep going, I can hardly breathe, And suddenly I said, what would happen if you would get stuck on an infinite staircase? And I was like, oh, that could be a movie. But then I was like, no, that could be a short film because it's only a staircase. But then I saw Cloud Atlas, and like I said, I was really inspired, and I had a jump from one story to another. And I was like, oh, what if you add another story also of them trapped in an infinite place? And I added the rogue story, and then I put them all together, and that's basically how The Incident came to be. When that all clicked in my mind, the first draft of the screenplay was ready 2 months after that.